We hope that you enjoy the session and that each of you leave this evening having learned something and hopefully reinforce to yourselves that you're already doing such an amazing job. We're incredibly lucky to be joined this evening by Kate Marsh. She brings a wealth of early years experience with her, having taught across the globe. Now Kate works for the BeReady Group and she actually trains teaching assistants who specialise in early years for their level 3 apprenticeship. And thanks for introducing us, Louise. We also have 2 other product owners with us tonight. We have Liz Ragg and we have Julia Dorish, who are from the early years team. Okay, thank you. And over to you, Kate.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Here are some useful links initially that I have referenced when collating the slides. So thank you for sharing those, Bethany. Maybe we can distribute those at the end as well, but they're readily available if you type them in online. Yeah, you can move the slide on. Thank you. So obviously the focus today is handwriting and getting children in the early years ready for handwriting in reception and beyond. So handwriting development in young children is a complex journey and it involves the gradual mastery of various cognitive skills. So when supporting children with their handwriting, it's essential to understand their developmental milestones. So as early as 2, children may start mimicking writing, expressing themselves through drawings and scribbles. And these early explorations subsequently evolve into purposeful attempts at forming letters, words, and eventually even sentences, which reflects their cognitive and motor skill development. Thank you, Bethany. Can move on. So we often hear the term emergent writing. So emergent writing is a child's first steps into literacy, where they discover that their marks hold meaning and can convey messages. So through experimentation and observation, children learn the basics of language and writing, navigating challenges like fine motor skills and letter formation. So as educators and caregivers, we can support this initial journey by providing a really nurturing environment for our students and also by really celebrating their early mark making attempts. Thank you, Bethany. So in facilitating emergent writing, it's really important to offer children a diverse range of activities that not only strengthen their fingers, but also support their cognitive development. So for instance, incorporating outdoor games, such as using brushes to make marks on walls, not only promotes gross motor development, but also encourages hand-eye coordination, which is essential for later precise letter formation. So you could introduce resources like chunky crayons or pencils, which gradually further refines that fine motor control and grip strength. Also, what's really, really important is to ensure that you're incorporating a range of sensory experiences, such as using natural items like leaves or sticks to make marks. And you could do this in like mud or puddles, which is ultimately, again, going to stimulate that spatial awareness whilst enhancing children's understanding of shapes and patterns simultaneously. So hands-on activities like finger painting also fosters sensory and kinesthetic learning. So in the process, you're reinforcing, or children are reinforcing, those neural pathways which are associated with both motor skills and creative expression. So by integrating these experiences into your settings, not only are you supporting children's handwriting progression, but also nurturing their holistic development as well. Thank you, Bethany. So lots of research indicates that engaging in fine motor activities enhances hand strength and dexterity. And these skills ultimately support the coordination of the small hand muscles and fingers, crucial for tasks requiring precision such as writing. According to developmental theorists like Piaget, fine motor skills are integral components of a child's overall cognitive development. So in line with this, fine motor interventions are a great way of scaffolding children's handwriting development by targeting specific skills essential for writing. So, for instance, activities like scrunching paper also enhance that hand-eye coordination. By manipulating various textures and shapes, children start to refine and develop an understanding of how to control their movements. Additionally, the use of tools such as large tweezers introduce elements of challenge and novelty, whilst stimulating children's problem-solving skills and perseverance. So there's quite a lot going on there when they're engaging in the fine motor activities that you might have in your setting. So in essence, fine motor interventions represent a holistic approach to handwriting development and support children's growth across multiple domains. So by providing opportunities for hands-on exploration and guiding practice, we can empower children to become ultimately confident writers in the future. Okay, next slide, please, Bethany. So handwriting isn't just about putting pen to paper, though. It gains real significance when tied to meaningful purposes. For example, if you consider a child's excitement when they know that their written work will be shared and published, this fosters lasting motivation, giving our children a genuine reason to communicate through writing and mark making. Additionally, encouraging oral storytelling serves as a powerful catalyst for enhancing writing enthusiasm. And interestingly, even at the ages of 3 and 4, children start behaving like writers, creating wavy lines and distinct marks, which signals their early interest in written expression. So, as you know, many children naturally gravitate towards their favourite stories, and these stories serve as excellent starting points for breaking down and developing narrative structures. So in line with this, we can empower children to create their own books, and this is a really wonderful way of nurturing their writing abilities. And then they'll also, understand the sequence of a story as well, the beginning, the middle, and the end. Even at young ages, children can grasp the concept that writing carries meaning. So as educators, again, it's really our responsibility to show them that the printed word is simply another form of mark making. So together, perhaps you could write signs and labels for items in the environment and provide labeled photos to indicate where the toys belong. So again, we really should try and immerse children in a print-rich environment from the earliest of stages. Thank you, Bethany. In the developmental journey of handwriting, mastering early letter formation lays solid foundations for future literacy skills, and research highlights the pivotal role of pencil grip in refining fine motor control and advancing writing abilities. So also teaching children to begin letters from specific points and to follow the correct stroke directions not only enhances that spatial awareness again, but also fosters essential motor planning skills crucial for handwriting proficiency. So as educators and caregivers, we should attempt to provide children with lots of resources such as word banks, notebooks, clipboards, post-its for use both in the indoor and outdoor environment. Maybe where possible, linking these to children's interests as well, to get them engaged in their early writing attempts. And by providing such resources, we empower our children to engage meaningfully with writing and express themselves creatively from the earliest of stages. Thank you, Bethany. So by the age of 5, typically developing child will have reached a crucial milestone in their fine motor development, which is the ability to hold a pencil, maybe even hold it correctly at this point. And this achievement reflects the progress of their fine motor control. So during reception, children develop phonological skills that are essential for decoding written language. So exposure to phonetically spelled words in context enables children to really understand the basic spelling patterns and also construct meaning from print. This developmental phase highlights the importance of a really supportive, literacy-rich environment where children can explore language in a meaningful and engaging way, and thus fostering a real lifelong love of reading and writing. So as educators, ultimately, we play a really, really pivotal role in scaffolding children's writing development, providing explicit guidance on sentence structure and vocab expansion by offering opportunities for creative expression as well and meaningful communication. So in essence, again, we enable children to become confident writers and also equip them with the necessary skills for lifelong learning. Thank you, Bethany.
Thank you so much, Kate, for that. That was wonderful. And it was really great to hear more about how children go through the developmental stages and how that helps them with their emergent writing. So now we're going to talk a little bit more about what Twinkl offer to help prepare early writers. And this is from a CPD professional development background. So as Kate spoke about, it's essential that children develop strong foundations in communication and language in order to make writing purposeful, and so they are able to talk about their early mark making as well. So that's why we've put a big focus also on communication and language resources to help support your reflection and how it works in your practice. So we've also got PowerPoint on the top left-hand corner, and that goes for a wide range of communication and language skills that they're developing. And we split them into 0 to 1, 2 to 3, and 3 to 5, so you can really understand where children are coming from. And there's also handouts and posters that focus in on particular elements of communication and language. So as you can see in the bottom resource, this poster looks at expected talking milestones between ages 2 and 3, for example. And these can be really useful for both you as an early years educator and for also for caregivers and parents, as they might not know what those kind of milestones are. So these resources can help provide an opportunity to reflect on communication and language in your setting and how children are developing and how it feeds into their mark making and later writing ability. Thank you, Bethany. And then so we've also got a nice range of professional development resources to reflect on fine and gross motor skills, which obviously are very, very important. So these include in-depth PowerPoints on how fine motor skills develop, and then also handouts that cover how fine and gross motor skills work together and how they interact, because they're very, very closely linked, and what you can expect as well at different stages of children's development. We've also got posters that break down each of the fine motor skills and look at what abilities help to form these foundational skills. So for example, the poster at the bottom, it shows the different abilities that contribute to finger strength. So these would include strengthening the knuckle joints as well as the thumb and isolating finger movements and much more. So these can be really helpful reminder of what abilities children need to learn and be able to develop those fine motor skills that are essential for later writing. And again, these can be shared with caregivers to help demonstrate how many skills contribute to children's writing, because I think sometimes that's not always clear to caregivers or parents. That can be a really nice thing to do. Next slide, please, Bethany. And finally, I wanted to share this PowerPoint, which was created to demonstrate fine motor skills in action and through play. So each slide looks at different activities or areas of play that children might be exploring and how they will develop specific fine motor skills through that play. So for example, on the slide, you can see that when children are exploring water play, they're also developing their hand strength through grasping and using their hand arches, and developing their hand-eye coordination through pouring, filling, aiming, and much more. So this can be a nice way to reflect on or facilitate discussions about children's developing fine motor skills in practice and in play. And each slide has also been made into a poster, as seen on the bottom left, to make this process more visible, and it could be placed around the setting as a little reminder, or where you could also kind of improve your provision. So we're also in the process of creating an in-depth professional development PowerPoint all about mark making, so just keep an eye out for that. Also let us know at the end if you'd like to be notified when it does go on site, and feel free to drop in the chat. Also let us know afterwards if there's any other professional development sources you would like to help support your understanding. So thank you, and I'll pass on to Liz, who is going to talk about what else Twinkl Foundation has to offer.
Thanks, Julia. Yeah, I work for the with the foundation team at Twinkl, which creates most of the EYFS planning and assessment materials that you'll find on site. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the materials that we've got on site that you can use within your setting to support your planning around fine motor skills. We've recently added this, it's a new range of resources, and it's continuing to grow, so do keep checking back to have a look, that support fine motor development. As Kate mentioned, it's one of the foundations of children learning to write and developing that good skills with letter formation. So we have, I've just got a little picture there of the landing page just to show you how we've structured these resources. We've worked in collaboration with an occupational therapist when developing this range, because we know that this specialist input will be really valuable for early years educators. We're aware that these specialist professionals, we have much less access now to those within schools and nurseries. So we thought having that input within these resources would be really valuable for educators when they're coming to plan for the fine motor needs of their children. We also realise that one of the great things about early years is that everybody works differently. You like to work in a way that suits your setting, suits your children, suits your early years pedagogy. So we've made this range of resources really flexible, so you can use them as works best for you. You can dip in and out of them, use the resources that work for you. It's not a prescriptive scheme, so we hope that flexibility will really help. We did want to make the task of planning easier for you, though, time saving. So we've structured the planning resources according to the skills, so that you can identify what the needs of your children are, and then you can find the resources, the activities that really meet those needs. So as you can see on the landing page here, we've got 5 of what we've referred to as the core skills. So we've got the skill of finger strength, hand strength, wrist strength, hand-eye coordination, and then, as both Julia and Kate have mentioned, the gross motor skills, which feed into fine motor development so closely. Within these materials, we have focused in on what we feel, the gross motor skills that we feel most directly feed into fine motor, because obviously gross motor is a huge area. And then we've also got 2 more specific skills of mark making and scissor skills, because these were skills that we really feel people like to try and work on within nursery and reception. So we've got lots of activities around those specific skills. And in addition, you can see that this range of materials has some planning that is topic based, so links into popular themes and topics within early year settings. And also there's a button which will allow you to easily access those CPD materials that Julia has just been telling you all about. Next slide, please, Bethany. So here I'll just tell you about the range of resources themselves. We have these resources for each of those skills, so the core skills and the specific skills. So we have adult guidance and ideas, and this is where these broader skills like wrist strength and hand strength are broken down into much smaller chunks to help educators identify the needs of the children in their setting, and along with some suggestions of activities and movements which will help to develop these skills. So they're really useful resource for really understanding how those fine motor skills develop. They're not a sort of linear development, because obviously fine motor skills are far more complex than that, but they do break it down so that you can identify where your children are and maybe what would be a useful step of development for them, and really help with that planning. So these are useful for you regardless of your approach, just to really get to understand those fine motor skills. And then we have warm-up cards. These are just really fun, simple, quick activities that can be used as a warm-up if you're having an adult-led fine motor session, for example, or just as a sort of transition activity. You've got a few spare minutes in the day. You can pick one of these cards and do a little bit of a fine motor activity just to help develop those different skills. These have been really popular, I think, just because of the flexible way that they can be used. And then we've got adult-led activities. These are activities which are designed to be delivered with an adult in small groups. They're ideal for intervention groups, which Kate has mentioned earlier, really support the journey to letter formation and handwriting. They can be used as part of a carousel. We know lots of reception classes in particular maybe have a daily carousel of fine motor activities, so they're a great addition to that. And the adult-led activities themselves have a warm-up activity, as well as ways that you can support and extend the activity to suit the children within your setting. Next slide, please, Bethany. Right, and then we know that lots of settings like to provide fine motor activities for the children to access independently as part of continuous provision. So we've created these lovely plans and accompanying prompt cards. The prompt cards have illustrations to support children visually with the activity. We know so often you put an activity out within provision and the children may be unsure of exactly what to do with that. So we've provided the prompt cards to really give them an idea of how they can use that equipment and that activity. These continuous provision plans, we've created versions that link with popular themes and topics. There's lots of you telling us that you like the activities within your continuous provision to link with the children's current interests and topics and themes that you're delivering. So you'll find lots that will link to those popular themes. And you can find those by clicking on the topic-based planning button on the landing page. But we've also created continuous provision activities that have a more generic theme, because similarly, people are saying we like to use, put out activities in our continuous provision that are skill-based. We like to identify what the specific skill is and put an activity out that links to that. We don't really want it to link to particularly to a topic or a theme. So we've got lots of continuous provision activities that are much more generic. And there's a couple of examples there on the slides that you can see for those. And I think the next slide, please, Bethany. And then this little tip to help you find our fine motor skills activities on the site. So you can easily find our fine motor skills hub by going to our main early years landing page and clicking the blue button, which will take you straight through to the fine motor skills hub. So hopefully I've managed to do this range justice in my explanation of them. But yeah, do take a look at them on the hub. And there is also, if you put into search fine motor skills taster pack, there is also a free taster pack where you can have a look at these resources for yourself. So yeah, thank you. And I will pass over to Bethany to talk to you about Twinkl's letter formation toolkit.
Thank you, Julia and Liz. It's great to hear we have such a variety of resources on offer to support a range of skills, including fine and gross motor. I'll finish off now by showing you what we have on offer to help you to support your young learners for success in writing, both towards reception and beyond. I've been there as an educator, and it's daunting sometimes when you feel the pressure to push children to reach their goals and having some useful resources at the ready, we like to call it a little toolkit, can be all you need to boost that confidence to support your learners. I'd like to start just by highlighting our formation and handwriting app. This is a mobile app and can be used on both phones and tablets. And it's a great tool for practicing letter, number and shape formation. And it sort of provides that interactive alternative to traditional methods. Children can watch a model on the app and then they can have a go at dragging their finger to create the letter on the screen. I know my daughter absolutely loves this. She's also preparing for school at the moment, and we use this app as a fun, interactive, additional way to engage her and keep her interested in learning. So give it a try and see what you think. It's also a great way to reinforce that letter formation practice during more purposeful writing activities that Kate mentioned in her research previously. The app then feeds into our handwriting scheme here at Twinkl. We have two very comprehensive schemes that run from early years all the way up to year 6. And you can choose either scheme. One follows the cursive script up into year 6 and one is continuous cursive. But when we're thinking about the early years, you can just choose the Key Stage 1 and early years packs and you will find what you need. So if you go onto the Twinkl handwriting landing page, which is linked on this slide, you can find a letter that you're looking for and download the resources for it. Then within that pack, you'll find what we call a helping card. It's essentially like a planning document, and it gives you guidance on resources that could be used for your children based on their age. And for our younger learners, we have fine motor activities, such as using sand trays to create patterns and letter shapes. It's worth checking them out as an additional building block to support your children. One thing I would like to mention is that we have been working very, very closely with the National Handwriting Association. And one of their key messages, which I've definitely taken on board, is to just really focus on that letter shape at first. Of course, some children won't even be ready for this yet, but for those who are, you can start to think about the shape of the letters and create them in a variety of ways. I'll look a little bit more at letter shape on the next slide. However, I would like to mention that we are currently working on updating the structure of our handwriting scheme. So anyone who does download any of our resources, please do give us any feedback, as it's incredibly valuable to our team. We always aim to help those who teach in the best way for our customers, and any feedback you have will be well received. So thinking about the shape of letters sort of comes by introducing our handwriting characters. At Twinkl, we have divided our letters into 4 letter families based on their shape and the process that we follow to form them. It's really fun to get children excited to write by looking at these characters, and actually a great way to introduce them, which I've done before, is to you could create 4 houses of different colours with a character on each one, and then cut all the different letters out onto cards, and then children can group those letters into the family that they think they belong to. And it's a really great way for them to explain their choices and to start that process of thinking about letter families and why letters might belong to each one. I'm sure you can probably see the relationship between them all, but for a bit more detail, we first have our curly caterpillar letters, such as C and A, or as we would say for our younger learners, K and A, to reinforce the sound related to that letter. They all begin with that curl round motion. Our ladder letters, represented by our lovely lemur, start at the top and they go straight down, creating a ladder shape at the start. Then we have the one-arm robots, and they actually all start as ladders, but then they have an extending arm to finish the letter in their own unique way. And then finally, we have our zigzag monsters, which all start with that zigzag motion. I think it's really important to note here that none of the letters start from the bottom or the line. This is key when looking at shapes of letters. And we really want to be focusing on forming those letters correctly from the start. As Kate mentioned before, our overall aim is to eventually create these, fluent and able writers who are very confident in their writing, but the pivotal moment for that is securing that correct letter formation and making sure that that is crucial to their writing success. It really helps them to develop speed and accuracy in writing as they progress throughout the school. And I can tell you that teachers will definitely be eternally grateful to anyone who has tackled any of these misconceptions with their able writers before they start school. Finally, I know that the CPD team and the foundation team have shared an abundance of amazing resources with you. I just wanted to share a few additional ones that we have within the handwriting team. They support fine and gross motor skills and development and letter formation. I've also added here a parent booklet, which is actually great for any educator who wants to understand letter formation better. We have a range of PowerPoints that you can use for warm-ups and games, and we also have a range of pattern making activities to get children started on their writing journey. Okay, yeah, that's me done. Thank you very much to all of our speakers today. I definitely learned a lot. I hope you've got something to take home today too. And I'll hand back to Louise now, who will welcome any questions that you might have. Thank you.